Clara's face suddenly went pale. She burst into her friend's room and froze in the doorway, seeing Evelyn hunched over a basin. "Are you pregnant?" she breathed out, her voice trembling with astonishment. Evelyn groaned softly, not lifting her head from the bowl. "I'm not sure. It's been like this for a few days. Today is really bad. Does Brandon know?" "Not yet. But there shouldn't be any problems. We were planning to get married right after graduation, weren't we?" Uncertainty crept into her voice. "Of course we didn't plan to become parents this early. But now that it's happened..." Clara didn't share her optimism. Unlike her friend, who was blinded by feelings, she noticed how Brandon flirted with every girl, made crude jokes, and acted like there was no tomorrow. He was a desirable catch in their small village, handsome with the charm of a ladies' man, and the girls were ready to fight over his attention. But Clara had never interfered in their relationship, until now. Suddenly the door burst open and Grandma Eleanor appeared in the doorway. "Hello, Clara, dear," she began cheerfully, but upon seeing her granddaughter, she froze. "Evelyn!" "Child, what's wrong? Food poisoning? I told you not to bring junk into the house, those chips of yours." Evelyn gave a weak look at her friend, pleading with her to be silent. But Clara had already made her choice. "She's expecting a baby, Grandma Eleanor. You'll be a great-grandmother soon." Clara looked steadily at Evelyn as if saying, "It's time to face the consequences." It's not certain yet," Evelyn whispered. "I'm going to see Dr. Helen Miller tomorrow. She'll know for sure." Grandma Eleanor, without a word, sank onto a chair opposite her granddaughter. Her gaze was piercing. "Who is the father?" "It's not who, Grandma. It's Brandon," Evelyn exclaimed heatedly, defending her beloved. "We're getting married as soon as I graduate. He proposed. That means he's my fiancé." "You foolish girl, Evelyn," Grandma whispered, her voice filled with bitterness. "Just like your mother." She got up, stepping heavily, and left the room. Pouring herself some tea, she sat by the window and said softly to the emptiness, "You old fool. You couldn't protect your daughter. Now you're losing your granddaughter too." Evelyn had grown up a quiet, diligent girl, the complete opposite of her mother. Her mother had gone off the rails at 15, gave birth to Evelyn at 16, and immediately left her daughter with her own mother, continuing a string of wild affairs. Grandma Eleanor's only comfort was that her daughter didn't have any more children. 5 years later, Evelyn's mother was gone. A drunken fight with a jealous suitor ended in a blow from which she never recovered. After burying her daughter, Grandma Eleanor devoted herself to her granddaughter. Evelyn made her proud with her schoolwork and good behaviour. "Maybe she'll go to university," the old woman dreamed. And now this Brandon. Charmed her, fooled her, and now disgraced her. Grandma Eleanor didn't believe in his seriousness for a second. He was a spitting image of his father, Thomas Blackwood, who had been quite a rogue in his youth, and had now turned into an arrogant, brazen and cruel businessman. "Where did I go wrong with you, my dear?" she quietly asked, but found no answer. Leaving Dr. Helen Miller's office, Evelyn felt her spirits sinking with each passing second. She had called Brandon 20 times, but nobody answered. How could her darling be so busy that he couldn't spare a minute to answer or call back? The girl was bewildered. Suddenly, someone called her name. Turning around, Evelyn saw Aunt Bessie. Evelyn said hello and intended to walk past. She didn't like this, as she thought, nosy old woman. But one phrase made her freeze. "Hello, Evelyn. Why so gloomy? You haven't lost your Brandon, have you?" The old woman squinted cunningly, looking right at Evelyn. "You know where he is?" The word slipped out and she surprised herself. Of course she knew. Aunt Bessie knew everything. Who was born, who got married, who was sick, who left town and with whom. "Of course I know," the old woman said importantly. "He's over there. He went to the cafe with Tiffany. I was surprised. I even wondered if you two had a fight." She was about to continue, but Evelyn interrupted her. "With Tiffany!" The girl could only manage to stammer. Without saying goodbye, she rushed off towards the establishment. In the dim light of the place, music blared, and it smelled of smoke and something sour. A few girls were milling about in the middle of the room. In the far corner, At a table occupied by the local Golden Boys sat a noisy group. At the head of the table was Brandon. Tiffany was sitting on his lap, kissing him passionately. Evelyn, unable to believe her eyes, walked up to the table. No one paid her any attention. After standing there for a moment, she decided that Brandon was too drunk to know what was happening. "Brandon, what does this mean?" The entire group turned to her, and it seemed even the music quieted down. But Tiffany didn't move. She remained on his lap, examining Evelyn with a brazen smirk, as if seeing her for the first time. "What do you want, Evelyn?" Brandon asked with a twisted smirk. "I'm asking what's happening here," Evelyn repeated, still hoping he would sober up, and rushed to her with apologies. "Partying," he replied with the same smirk. "What did you show up for?" "I was looking for you. I wanted to tell you some happy news." Her confidence was melting away. "I'm pregnant, Brandon." "So?" The guy grinned brazenly, and the whole group burst out laughing. "What's that got to do with me?" "What do you mean, what's that got to do with you? You're the father. You promised to marry me." The girl stammered, completely desperate. "Promising isn't the same as marrying." Brandon laughed at his own joke, and his friends joined in his laughter. "Honestly," he continued, "you'd have to be completely stupid to believe that a guy like me would marry a pauper like you. I just wanted to sleep with you, so I said whatever it took, and you believed it. Aren't you a fool? Now get lost. Don't ruin our fun." Evelyn stood rooted to the spot, staring wide-eyed at the father of her future child. "But what should I do?" she asked, barely audible. "That's your problem." Brandon heard her question after all. "And don't even think about bothering me with it. If I tell my father, he'll make your life hell here, and if he wants to, he could even put you in jail." Burning with shame and despair, Evelyn didn't know where to turn. Turning sharply, she flew out of the cafe, choking back tears. She ran blindly. "Evelyn, come back!" Aunt Bessie tried to stop her, but it was useless. Then she rushed to Grandma Eleanor's house, hoping to find her there. "Grandma Eleanor! Tonya! Trouble! You're Evelyn! She's run off towards the river," Bessie yelled, throwing open the door. "Oh dear!" Grandma Eleanor, throwing on a shawl, rushed out of the house towards the river. By some miracle, she managed to get there in time. Evelyn was standing on the bridge, nervously fidgeting with the edge of her sweater. "My dear, don't!" Grandma Eleanor said softly, approaching cautiously. "Who will you leave me with?" "I can't live without you, my dear." "Grandma, he said I was stupid, that he did it all on purpose, just to sleep with me. I don't want to live. How can I face this disgrace? And God will punish him, child. He'll pay for everything. Don't commit a sin," Grandma Eleanor pleaded, slowly moving closer. "You'll not only ruin yourself, but also an innocent child. Who needs this child anyway? People will laugh at it its whole life, point fingers, say it's illegitimate. We'll leave, Evelyn. We'll leave. We won't tell anyone it doesn't have a father. We'll say the father died. Don't be afraid, my love. I'll help. I won't leave you." Evelyn finally turned around. Her huge, tear-filled eyes looked with hope. "Let's go home, dear. We'll have some tea and calm down. And the devil take him, that scumbag. You'll see, God will punish him. He surely will." A week passed. Evelyn stayed home. Thanks to Tiffany, the entire village knew how Brandon had made a fool of her. Grandma Eleanor's heart ached, looking at her granddaughter. Evelyn ate nothing, just cried. "Come on, stop. Once you finish your exams, we'll sell the house right away and leave. We'll go wherever you want. And after the baby is born, you can study. I'll take care of the baby. Don't worry, Evelyn. Everything will be all right." But Evelyn acted as if she didn't hear. She still refused to eat and sobbed constantly. One day, Grandma Eleanor, returning from the store, found her granddaughter lifeless. "Physical and nervous exhaustion," stated the arriving ambulance doctor. "We're taking her to the hospital. You should see a doctor yourself too," he told Eleanor sternly. "I'll see one. I'll see one," the elderly woman mumbled, closing the door behind him. First, I'll visit one scoundrel and then the doctor. She got dressed, threw on a shawl, and left the house. She headed towards Thomas Blackwood's house to tell him exactly what she thought of his worthless son, and of them in general. Thomas, seeing her through the window, immediately came out onto the porch. "If you're here for compensation, Grandma Eleanor, you'd better turn back and go home. If I paid off every girl who slept with my son, I'd be broke soon." "You're broke anyway," Eleanor yelled back. "Not in money, but in brains and conscience. You raised a scoundrel yourself, and we don't need anything from you. Your money stinks from a mile away just like you do. I just came to say, Evelyn's tears will come back to haunt you. Oh, they surely will. You'll regret it when it's too late. You'll pay for your brat. You should have kept an eye on her before running to decent people with complaints. Or like her useless mother, she'll bring you a whole nursery full of kids and end up dying in a ditch." "You venomous snake!" Grandma Eleanor boiled with rage. Thomas turned his back and disappeared into the house. The woman picked up a stone from the ground and threw it towards the house, hoping to hit a window, but missed. Spitting on the gate, she trudged home. Her strength left her right there on the porch. Sinking heavily, the elderly woman didn't get up again. "Grandma Eleanor, what are you sitting there for?" Aunt Bessie stood outside the gate trying to see her neighbour. She was sitting in an unnatural position without moving. "Good heavens, what's wrong?" Bessie lamented, and taking out an old mobile phone, called an ambulance. "How did this happen?" she wailed, as the paramedics carried away Grandma Eleanor's body. "Heart attack, most likely," answered the doctor grimly. He had come to this house for the second time in the past 24 hours, and something told him that someone else was involved in both tragedies. The gathered crowd whispered among themselves. After the ambulance left, people were in no hurry to leave, discussing what had happened. Finally, they dispersed. Only Grandpa George and Bessie remained. "What are we going to do?" Bessie said. "Yeah, it's a situation," Grandpa George drawled. "I'll go to the city tomorrow and check on Evelyn. And someone needs to handle the funeral arrangements," Bessie decided. "I'm with you," George perked up. "You shouldn't have to deal with this alone." "Excuse me." A stranger's voice distracted them. "Could you tell me where Eleanor lives?" "She lived," Bessie mumbled. "Who are you?" The stranger, without answering, asked again. "What do you mean, lived? Did she move away?" "She passed away today," Grandpa George said bluntly. "You're too late, young man." "Excuse me." The young man stepped closer. His interlocutors saw that he was well over 40, the wrinkles around his eyes, deep nasolabial folds, and greying temples showed it. "And her granddaughter, Evelyn. Where can I find her?" Bessie and George exchanged glances. "And why are you looking for her?" Grandpa George asked sternly. "Acquaintances asked me to pass something along to Eleanor, or to her granddaughter." "So where can I find her?" the man insisted. "She's in the hospital in the city. Just be careful. She's been through a lot." Aunt Bessie decided that it wouldn't hurt if someone showed up for Evelyn, even just an acquaintance. If he knew her grandmother, maybe his acquaintances were decent people too. "Thank you," the man said, and headed towards a car the old people hadn't noticed at first. Early in the morning, packing a small gift, Bessie hurried to the bus stop where Grandpa George was waiting for her. In the city, they went their separate ways. George to social services, Bessie to the hospital to see Evelyn. "How are you, dear?" Bessie sat in the room. Evelyn was pale but no longer crying. Her gaze was vacant, fixed on the ceiling. "How did this happen?" she asked, barely audible. "What are you talking about, dear?" "I overheard the nurses talking yesterday. I wanted to go see, but they wouldn't even let me out of the room, and they gave me a shot. Everything's still a blur." Evelyn shifted her gaze from the ceiling to Bessie. Her heart. "She had been sick for a long time," Bessie said as gently as possible. "Don't be afraid. We won't leave you alone. You can stay with me for now. And later, whatever you want." "Thank you, Aunt Bessie. I'd like to go to the funeral. How can I go?" "I'll talk to the doctor. I think he'll let you. Just rest for now. I'll come back later." The old woman left and headed towards the doctor's office. At the nurse's station, she noticed the man from yesterday. He was talking about something with a nurse. Seeing Bessie, he pretended not to recognize her and quickly left. Surprised, Bessie quickly forgot about him as she approached the doctor's office. After talking to the doctor, she returned to Evelyn. "All right, child, I've arranged it. I'll come tomorrow and pick you up. For today, just rest and get better." Evelyn nodded obediently. They chatted a little. Bessie did most of the talking. Evelyn listened silently and occasionally nodded. Getting ready to leave, Bessie suddenly remembered the strange man. "Evelyn, did anyone else come to see you while I was gone?" The girl looked surprised. "Who would come to see me?" "Well, George and I came." "He was planning to come too, but probably got tied up with things," Bessie lied. "All right, get some rest until tomorrow." "Until tomorrow," Evelyn murmured, and fell into a deep sleep. They had given her another shot of medication. On the bus home, Bessie told George everything. "I don't like him, something's off," she concluded. "Yeah, it's a situation. Something doesn't add up," the old man said thoughtfully. "But don't panic yet. Tomorrow you'll pick up Evelyn. She'll be under your care. We'll bury Grandma Eleanor, and then we'll figure things out." "Dr. Andrew Stone, I want to terminate the pregnancy," Evelyn said calmly in a firm voice. "I don't want this child." "Evelyn, the decision is yours, of course, but I'm obligated as a doctor to warn you. Something like this can have very serious consequences. You're too young, do you understand?" The doctor looked at the girl attentively, but he didn't see in her behaviour a trace of the doubt that people show when they ask for something, but deep down they want to be talked out of it. Evelyn gave the impression of a completely adult, sensible woman who had thought everything through and made a firm decision. "You see, I'm completely alone now. I have no one. And I don't want to live off someone else staying with Aunt Bessie. I won't be able to give this child anything. And don't tell me that someone up above will help. Not only will my child be forced to live in poverty, but it will also be unloved. Its mother can only hate it, not love it at all. Hate it." "All right, I understand. Tomorrow I'll write you a referral to a specialist. For now, you have the night to think it over one more time." "Thank you," Evelyn said, smiling to herself. A night to think it over. If only Andrew Stone knew how many nights like that she'd had, and how many times she had weighed everything. Grandma's death was the final brick with which she was building a wall between the past and the future. The old, naive Evelyn died with her grandmother. And tomorrow, after the procedure, a new Evelyn will be born who will make everyone who contributed to this transformation regret it. The girl left the clinic completely different, indifferent to everything, or so she thought. She didn't want to scream. She wanted to lie down, fall asleep and never wake up. But first, revenge. And only after that could she die, Evelyn decided to herself, sitting down on the porch, on the very spot where her grandmother had died a few days ago. She had just gotten up to go inside when someone called her name. "Evelyn!" Turning around, she saw an unfamiliar man by the gate. He was tall, middle-aged, dressed expensively and tastefully. The girl looked at him cautiously. "Hello, Evelyn." While she was examining him, he opened the gate and, walking up the path, approached the porch. "Who are you, and what do you want?" the girl asked quite unkindly. I'm your father," the man said simply, as if it were obvious. "Wonderful," Evelyn sneered maliciously. "You must be on your deathbed. Decided not to leave all your multi-million-dollar inheritance behind? But don't expect me to fall at your feet with gratitude. And anyway, I'm very tired. I don't have time for you. So goodbye. Don't bother me with such trivial matters again." She turned to leave. "I understand how you're feeling." The man tried to stop her, grabbing her arm. "But please allow me to explain everything. I'm not sick. My health is excellent, and I plan to live for a very long time. I found out about you recently. Please listen. I beg you, and you'll understand everything." "What if I don't want to listen?" The girl looked at her newfound relative defiantly. "Then I'll have to sit on this porch until you change your anger to kindness and give me just one chance." Evelyn paused for a long time, sighed heavily, and said, "I don't have anything to offer you. I just got back. We can talk here." She sat down on the porch. "Then I have a suggestion." The stranger smiled. I saw something like a restaurant in your town. Let's go get some lunch and I'll tell you everything. How does that sound?" She wanted to refuse, but she realized she was hungry. A meal wouldn't hurt, especially since she didn't have much money. Evelyn nodded in agreement. At the restaurant, after ordering the food, the man didn't waste any time. "Shall I start?" The girl nodded and, leaning back in the soft chair, pretended to be interested as best she could. "My name is Arthur Thompson. Just over 18 years ago, I came here on business. I was married, but your mother infatuated me. I found out too late that she was underage. But that didn't change anything. I returned home with the firm intention of divorcing and marrying your mother. I didn't know anything about the pregnancy. My wife, sensing something was wrong, announced she was pregnant, and I couldn't leave my unborn child without a father. I had to give up the hope of being with her. Then she had a miscarriage. But as it turned out later, it was a lie. She hadn't been pregnant. But I didn't know that then. She suffered for a long time and begged me to stay by her side. I felt sorry for her. 6 years passed like this. I decided to visit again. Grandma Eleanor informed me that your mother was gone and kicked me out. She didn't tell me that I had a daughter. There was no longer any point in getting a divorce, and I stayed with my wife. A few months ago, my wife was diagnosed with an illness. As she was dying, she confessed. Back then, 18 years ago, while I was in the bathroom, your grandmother called. My wife was cunning and said she was my maid and that I was away on a business trip. Grandma Eleanor believed her and asked her to tell me that your mother was pregnant. Of course, my wife didn't tell me anything. And then she invented her own pregnancy. After burying my wife, I came here right away. I'm sorry to say, but your mother wasn't known for her good behaviour. I had to make sure that you were my child. I had to bribe the medical staff while you were in the hospital to get a DNA sample. When everything was confirmed, I came to see you. I know what happened to you, what situation you're in. Let me help you." While Arthur Thompson was talking, the waiter brought the order, but neither touched the dishes. Evelyn was silent, processing what she had heard. On one hand, she wanted to proudly tell him to leave, say she could handle it herself, add him to the list of people she would get revenge on. But on the other hand, say what you will, her father showed up at the right time. His resources and connections would significantly simplify the task. Arthur Thompson, as if reading her thoughts, smiled. "I can guess you want revenge. But think for yourself. What can you do right now? You have no money, no connections, no loyal friends, I'm sure, and not even a clear plan. So I suggest, come with me. Get your thoughts in order. Get your life back on track. Recover your nerves, and with a clear head, make a plan. Believe me, revenge is a dish best served cold." "Perhaps you're right," Evelyn agreed. "Excuse me, could you tell me where I can find a hotel around here?" A young, beautiful woman stood before the taxi drivers. She had gotten off the bus from the city. In one hand she wheeled a large suitcase, a small backpack on her shoulders. "Ha! A hotel in this backwater," drawled one taxi driver. His grimy shirt, greasy trousers and worn-out cap. Everything suggested that he didn't drive his beat-up car beyond the village. "Yeah, Nick, you said you'd get out of here as soon as you finished school," Evelyn thought, looking at the man. The grimy fellow who answered her turned out to be Nick, her former classmate, who had looked down on her throughout their school years. So maybe someone is renting out a room. Evelyn needed somewhere to stay. "Paul, you've got a big house. Give the lady a place to stay," Nick said to a young guy in an old car. The men chuckled suggestively. Evelyn studied Michael carefully. She didn't know him. Maybe he arrived while she was away. But who in their right mind would come here, where there's no work, no facilities, no real prospects? Michael got out of his car and walked up to her, a man of average height with broad shoulders and muscular arms. "Well, if the lady's willing to pay for lodging and behave herself, we can try," he said. Evelyn looked him in the eye. "Naturally. I wasn't planning on asking for a free ride. I'm well-mannered and know how to behave properly in someone else's home. Don't worry about my behaviour." She walked towards Michael's old car, leaving her suitcase standing there. He had no choice but to pick it up and follow her. Michael's house turned out to be truly large, 2 stories, a huge porch with 2 doors. Michael headed towards one of them. "This is where I'll put you up. My parents used to live here, but they passed away. I wanted to combine the 2 halves." He stumbled. "Didn't get around to it, so you'll have your own entrance, practically a separate apartment." "Thank you, that's very convenient," Evelyn thanked him. Agreeing on the price, she went to her room, unpacked her things, took a shower, and changed clothes. 7 years had passed since she left with her father. Her father lived in the capital, a huge apartment in a skyscraper, a country house, a fleet of cars, one of which he gave her for her 20th birthday, and a successful business. Arthur Thompson insisted on her getting an education in a capital university. "Understand, daughter, education isn't just about knowledge. It teaches you to think, with your head, not something else." Evelyn understood the hint and got serious about her studies. At first because she had to, but then learning new things captivated her, and she herself strived for knowledge. She graduated from the institute as one of the best students. Her father took her on as his assistant. After working for a year, Evelyn decided it was time. It was time for revenge. Upon learning of her intentions, her father accepted it as inevitable. They developed a plan together. "These are just preliminary sketches," he said. "We don't know what's happened over the years. We'll adjust it on the spot, based on the actual situation. So first, you need to find out everything, as best and as detailed as possible. Don't strive for a quick result. Think everything through clearly. Check every detail, so there are no slip-ups. It might take more than a year. Be patient." "Patience is one thing I have plenty of," Evelyn said. "Don't worry, Dad. I won't rush." The last evening before she left, they sat together in a restaurant. "Be sure to call every day," Arthur asked. "Tell me everything." Evelyn nodded. Her father took a small ring with a stone out of his pocket. "Dad, why presents?" Evelyn shook her head. "It's not a present. It's your talisman and my peace of mind. If I don't hear from you, I'll come get you right away. And if something extraordinary happens, just press the stone harder. It will send a signal to me and my head of security. Please wear it. Don't take it off." "Okay," Evelyn said emotionally. Remembering how she had wanted to add him to her revenge list, she laughed inwardly. All these years her father had lived for her, had been caring, kind, and generous, as if making up for lost time. In the morning, Evelyn began the journey she had been preparing for. She didn't notice falling asleep that evening. She just lay down and was out cold. She looked at her phone. 5 in the morning. Time to get up. She put on a tracksuit, sneakers, a baseball cap, earphones in her ears. She went out for a run. This was a point in the plan, a daily morning run. Using this as an excuse, Evelyn could survey the surroundings, all the changes over 7 years, people who might have arrived, and at the same time eavesdrop on conversations. Today, she decided to run to the wealthy part of town to see if there had been any significant changes there. She wasn't worried about being recognised. Her new chestnut hair colour, coloured contact lenses, and diet. Everything had changed her beyond recognition. Nick hadn't recognised her yesterday, had he? The overall look of the village depressed her. It was dilapidated. Only the wealthy part of town was thriving. New houses, mansions, taller fences. It was obvious. They weren't counting their money. "How are you getting rich, you fat cat?" Evelyn wondered. And here was the house of the family, who had almost ruined her life. "Almost doesn't count," Evelyn thought maliciously, and stopped across the street, pretending to tie her shoelace. "Good morning. I haven't seen you around here before." Thomas Blackwood's voice sounded nearby. Evelyn saw him driving out of the gate but didn't think he would stop. "Are you visiting the Smiths?" The Smiths lived on the same street. Their head owned a woodworking business. Evelyn understood that Thomas asked just to be polite. He surely knew where she was staying. "No," she replied calmly, pretending to adjust her shoelace. She got up, intending to continue her run. There was nothing to talk about with Thomas. Not yet. "Then who are you visiting?" "I know everyone here," he persisted. "No one." I'm here on my own. Evelyn looked at the man disapprovingly, making it clear that his questions were unwelcome. She started running slowly. Thomas drove slowly alongside her. Oh, don't be angry. I've just lived here all my life, I know everyone. And you're new, so I was just curious what brings such a charming person to our little town. Don't you think you're being overly persistent? Evelyn grimaced and turned onto a path leading to the next street. I'm sorry, please forgive me, she heard behind her. Yeah, right. No way, dear. You should have asked earlier. Running up to the gate, Evelyn heard a child's voice. A little girl about 3 years old was running around the porch. A puppy was chasing her. The girl was bubbling with clear laughter. Michael was tired, sitting in a wicker chair, watching the child with a sense of despair. Seeing Evelyn, he greeted her glumly. I was afraid we'd wake you up at first, but since you didn't come out, I figured you were sleeping soundly. I was out for a run, Evelyn said, discreetly observing the little girl. His daughter, she decided. You exercise? Michael asked. No, I just run. It helps me think, wake up, and stay in shape, of course. Commendable. Would you like some coffee? The man asked unexpectedly. I'd love some. Evelyn was pleased. If she became friends with this family, it would be easier to gather information. Michael picked up the struggling Sophie and went inside. Evelyn followed. A small hallway led into a large kitchen. A kettle was whistling on the stove. Michael rushed to turn it off. Toys were scattered everywhere. Excuse the mess, he apologised, noticing Evelyn glancing around the room. Come in. Where can I wash my hands? The bathroom is right across from the kitchen. Evelyn followed. There were toys in the bathroom too, but no signs of a woman living here. Either she's easygoing or too busy, the girl decided. On the table there was already a plate of sandwiches, a basket of muffins, and cups of coffee. Excuse my curiosity. And your wife? Evelyn decided to ask. She passed away. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Michael didn't say anything. Evelyn decided not to bring up the family topic either. And where do you work? She asked. At the school. I'm a physics and computer science teacher. Sometimes I teach math when needed. We moved here 4 years ago. First my wife's parents, then us. The air in the city was too heavy for Lena, so we moved. Since my parents and I were teachers, they allocated us a house right away. And yesterday, what were you doing at the bus stop? Evelyn wondered. Working odd jobs. Teachers' salaries are peanuts. But never mind that. Why am I talking about myself? You'll think I'm complaining. And what brings you here? The company I work for won a tender to open production facilities in several similar villages, as a form of support, so to speak. And I, as a specialist, came to determine what kind of production would be profitable here. This was the cover story she and her father had come up with, so that she would have a plausible answer to questions about her presence. Evelyn, excuse me, but we have to rush off. Michael stood up, rushed to get ready. We need to get Sophie to kindergarten in time. Yes, of course, Evelyn got up. I'll go back to my place. In the room, she changed clothes, sat on the bed, and started thinking. She needed to subtly convey the cover story to the residents. She called her father. Dad, what about the documents? I'm just about to go see Mr. David Carter. Mr. David Carter was an old acquaintance of her father's, a high-ranking official dealing with land matters. Just warn him. I'm starting the rumour about the production facility today. Don't worry, daughter. We'll do it. We'll send all the documents to the local mayor today. After chatting a bit more, Evelyn started getting ready. She needed to dress so she wouldn't look like a complete outsider, but still stand out. And she succeeded. Simple sweater and jeans, jacket, boots, but expensive upon closer inspection. Plus small diamond earrings, a silk scarf. Ready. Where could she hear all the news and subtly share her own? At the local store, of course. That's where she headed. She was in luck. There were a lot of people and they had just unloaded bread. Evelyn joined the line. Just put it on my tab, Lucy, said an elderly customer to the shopkeeper. That brute fined me again. He doesn't pay, he just fines. What for? Someone asked curiously. Because my work jacket is ragged. He says if you snag it, You'll get caught in the machine, and I'll be held responsible. That jacket is 100 years old. The previous mechanic wore it, and I keep sewing and sewing it. But what?